Give it too much power, it leads to these abuses. This is why the Constitution was so wise to limit the power of the federal government to its enumerated powers and leave to the government closest to the people most of the powers. And I think we should re-examine all these decisions that have been made that have expanded the scope and power of our government. I don't know how many people are aware of this, but early next year, every single one of you is going to have to buy insurance, health insurance that the government says is good enough. Maybe not the insurance you're getting today that you're happy with. And if you don't buy that insurance, you are going to owe the IRS some money. That's a tax to me. The same IRS that has shown a propensity to target people based on their political leanings. This is who we've empowered through Obamacare. So this is what's going on here. It's not just one scandal at the IRS. It's about a culture of hardball politics. And I think in the days to come, we're going to learn a lot more about it. And we're not going to like what we learn. For example, you think about some of our most precious freedoms, the First Amendment right to free speech. Think about if you're a reporter at the Associated Press. Think about if you are a source, unrelated to national security, to the Associated Press. Think about if you're really a whistleblower. Someone who is blowing the whistle on government activity because you work in the government and you think what the government is doing is wrong. Think about that for a second. Now all of a sudden, what are you afraid of? I'm not calling that reporter back because their phone might be tapped. My number may show up on their records because the Justice Department has just shown that they're willing to do that. Think about the chilling effect that sends up and down the government. If there is wrongdoing somewhere in the government right now, people are probably afraid to blow the whistle because they're afraid that they're being surveilled by the Justice Department or that the person they're talking to is being surveilled. That's how outrageous this is. Think about people that are thinking about getting involved in the political process, contributing to a group or speaking out, donating to a campaign or a candidate as they're allowed to do under the Constitution. They don't want to be the next Vandersloot. They don't want to be the next guy being targeted. They don't want to be the next person being smeared on a website. This is unacceptable. This is outrage. And every single member of this body should be outraged by this behavior. This culture of intimidation, this hardball politics tactics, we cannot stand for this. And I hope we will be united in condemning this and ensuring we get to the bottom of this with significant investigations and hearings from the committees in the Senate that have jurisdiction on the matter.
Very well said, as usual. If you haven't heard what exactly the IRS was asking for, they had sent out, and it varied depending on what particular party they were interested in bashing that given day, week, month, etc. But one of the most recent examples I saw was Through the Vote, a not-for-profit organization out of Texas that wants to eliminate voter fraud, and it's a worthy cause on both sides of the aisle, I would say. Repeatedly sent very, very lengthy, and I'm talking a couple hundred pages of questions that the expected turnaround time was 1 week. Some of those questions were, what was the content of all of your Facebook postings? Stuff like that really has absolutely no place in the IRS getting that information. Again, the recent attack, personal attack that I received also mentioned this in saying that the true scandal is that these organizations, these political organizations, are given tax-exempt status at all. And I don't disagree with that. I don't think that whether you're on the Republican side or the Democratic side, these organizations, I don't think they should be making commercials. I think the PAC commercials are disingenuous, some of them anyway, and I think that they're not productive. They serve to further drive the wedge between people, and it kind of ruins the atmosphere for debate. So, I don't disagree with that. However, I guess the response not I guess, the response definitely is, that's not the issue here. Again, divert. You're diverting. The issue is that of the two sides of the aisle, only one side was targeted. So therefore, it is a scandal. Again, amazing that people who are so concerned about individual choices and rights, or profess to be, see no scandal when it's the enemy who's being abused. Looking at the election and the impact that this IRS scandal would have had on these groups and their fundraising capabilities, and the Romney campaign, and the past history of accusations of elections being bought and all this crap. Here we have a direct case for elections being impacted by the actions. I would not be surprised to see this go up the ladder quite high. I obviously can't prove that at the moment, but we'll see. And even if it doesn't, there's no argument that it still did have that impact. There are organizations that have been waiting since 2010 for this status. And if it is the law, it is the law. If we don't like the law, we should change the law, not play favorites. Which leads me back to the whole socialism concept. Given what you're hearing about the IRS scandal and who they're targeting, it brings up memories of voter fraud that we know did exist. Brings up memories of Acorn, which you're all probably aware, maybe not aware of Obama's ties to Acorn. But it makes you kind of scratch your head and look and say, our elections, we like to believe, aren't rigged and aren't coerced. And it turns out that I'm feeling more like we're looking at Putin, not Obama, or maybe we're looking at a third world country like Rubio mentioned. It's inexcusable what's going on. Which sounds more to me like socialism than a republic. Going on though, taking away the liberties of the people, healthcare, and the fact that you're forced into having a healthcare plan. And I tell you what, if I was 24 years old, I'd be pissed off. Because now I'm paying more than what I should be paying to take care of people who not necessarily can't take care of themselves. I mean, some people may not be able to, but there should be and there are other safety nets for those individuals. The First Amendment and Second Amendment attacks. In the case of this, the DOJ digging into phone records for not only the AP, but for Fox News, and probably we'll find out other specific reporters and other agencies or other news outlets. But again, the chilling effect that it does have for whistleblowers. They will not be coming forward with this environment. So if you're on the left and you think and you somehow try to justify what's going on here, what happens when there's a person in the Oval Office that you don't agree with? What happens when the next Republican gets in there? It doesn't matter who's in office. This type of stuff should not be happening. This is a scandal. This is something that the American people should be unanimously behind ensuring that this gets stomped out. The Second Amendment and the Obama administration's attack on legal, law-abiding gun owners' rights to defend themselves and their families is another prime example. The march towards socialism takes away the First Amendment rights and the Second Amendment rights. An armed populace cannot rebel against its tyrannical government. And I know you all chuckle and say, oh, yeah, well, that's not going to happen. It's funny how Americans think that America is somehow immune when, on the scale of things, our country and our culture is very, very young. And there's no guarantee that freedom will continue. Freedom, as you know, has to be fought for. And I'm not talking about on the battlefield. I'm talking about in the courtroom. I'm talking about in the voting booth. So the Second Amendment is critically important. You know, none of us like to see people shot, die, but all of us have the right to defend ourselves. Maybe we should be focusing more on our societal and mental health issues that lead to these people doing these things. Again, crisis leading to power grabs. That's what this administration and this government is all about. The DOJ pressure to intimidate whistleblowers is not the only First Amendment attack. If you are conservative, especially if you're a conservative black person, you are raked through the mud. You are called every name in the book. The media on the left, the Hollywood elites, the very people who proclaim tolerance are the least tolerant people in the nation. We will tolerate Islam. We will even, as President Obama has done, apologize to Muslims for a fictitious video, a fictitious cause being a video of Benghazi. And he will go as far as bowing to Saudi kings and other leaders, apologizing for the United States and America's history. Basically, the United States, I think the party, the left in particular, views the United States as the cause and of most of the things that are happening, and that it's getting its just desserts in a way. Not focusing on the good that the United States has done. But back to our list. This all kind of began with the whole redistribution, this march towards socialism. The concept of, no, Joe, I don't want to take your money away from you. I just want to give everybody an equal chance. I want it to be fair. Well, what's fair about the IRS targeting a particular group because its people believe something? What's fair about taking the home protection away from a family or a woman who is in a rural area and has to wait 20, 45 minutes, an hour and a half before they can get assistance? You know, the idea of a police force was not to be the primary protection. The police force, and any honest sheriff or law enforcement officer will tell you this, was meant to be secondary protection and to keep civil order. The secondary protection, the primary protection responsibility of your home is you. But this redistribution concept leads to, people who work all their lives to build something are actually chastised and their money taken away from them to give to people who not only aren't deserving of it, but have no intention of doing anything differently to change their circumstance. And I don't think that that anybody can argue the point that that's precisely what has been going on as we watch the food stamp rolls swell, as we watch the poverty rate increase, as we watch the number of children in poverty increase. The whole drive of socialism from a